The Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra might just be the boldest smartphone Samsung has ever built, and it's not just because of the rumors. From the possibility of breaking performance records, to design shifts that could reshape the Ultra identity, to an S Pen that might be living on borrowed time. This phone is already sparking debates before it even launches. So, should you be excited, skeptical, or both? Let's dive deep into the truth behind the leaks and see if the S26 Ultra is about to change the game once again. Before watching, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel Tech Insights so you can stay updated with daily tech news and reviews. When Samsung launches a new Galaxy Ultra, the entire smartphone world pays attention, and with the S26 Ultra, the expectations are higher than ever. Why? Because Samsung isn't just fighting Apple or Google anymore, it's fighting its own legacy. For years, the Galaxy Ultra has been the benchmark for Android flagships, and the S26 Ultra seems determined to keep that crown by reinventing key elements of performance, design, and usability. Let's start with something that's already raising eyebrows: the release timeline. Multiple sources suggest that Samsung could move up the launch of the Galaxy S26 series, placing it directly into the December shopping season instead of its traditional early year debut. On paper, this seems like a clever strategy. Imagine Samsung stealing some spotlight from Apple's iPhone 17 series right when buyers are making holiday purchases. But here's the gamble. By December, many consumers may have already locked in their iPhone upgrades. Can Samsung convince them to wait a little longer or even switch at the last minute? That's the marketing gamble at play. Now, charging speed is where Samsung appears to be catching up and maybe even outpacing rivals. Reports suggest the Galaxy S26 Ultra could finally bring true ultra-fast charging, hitting 60W wired speeds from 0 to 100% in under 50 minutes. Combine that with AI-driven battery management and Samsung's legendary 5000 mAh capacity, and we might finally be entering a world where battery anxiety becomes a thing of the past for Galaxy users. Even more exciting is support for Qi 2 magnetic wireless charging, meaning no more fumbling with misaligned coils. Your phone snaps perfectly into place every time. Let's talk cameras, because this is where most people judge a phone. Samsung has been holding onto that same 10p3x zoom lens since the Galaxy S21 Ultra, and honestly, fans were starting to complain. Well, with the S26 Ultra, it looks like Samsung is finally moving forward. Leaks suggest a brand new 20p3x zoom telephoto with improved aperture, a 200MP main sensor with significantly better light intake, and upgrades across the board for low light performance. This setup could deliver not just sharper shots, but also more balanced colors and improved detail in challenging conditions. Pair that with Samsung's continued focus on computational photography, and we might be looking at one of the most versatile camera systems ever on a smartphone. But here's where things get even more dramatic: the processor war. Historically, Samsung's in-house Exynos chips were seen as weaker alternatives to Qualcomm Snapdragons. But early benchmarks for the Exynos 2600, built on Samsung's revolutionary 7 process, show jaw-dropping numbers, possibly outperforming Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which itself is no slouch on TSMC's 3 process. If this holds true, Samsung could flip the entire narrative around Exynos and finally earn respect for its own silicon. And here's a twist: while most regions will still see a Snapdragon-powered Ultra, the performance differences may no longer matter. In fact, if Exynos proves stronger, Samsung could have the last laugh. Of course, hardware is only half the story. Software is where Samsung continues to shine. The S26 Ultra will ship with One UI 8.0 on top of Android 16 with AI integration running deeper than ever. Picture this: sketch something rough with the S Pen, and AI instantly cleans it into a professional design. Or dictate a note and have it auto-format it into a polished summary. Even real-time translation is rumored to be more accurate, with Samsung's Galaxy AI bridging language gaps instantly. The S Pen, once rumored to be on the chopping block, isn't just staying, it's smarter than ever. But whispers suggest that by the S27 Ultra, Samsung may finally retire the stylus. Could the S26 Ultra be the last true note experience we get? On the design front, Samsung seems to be balancing nostalgia and innovation. The return of a camera island gives the Ultra a bolder, more defined look, breaking away from the minimalist, floating lenses design we've seen for years. At the same time, Samsung is rounding off the edges even further, making the phone more comfortable in the hand. Yes, it may be slightly taller and wider, but the ergonomics could feel better than the boxier designs of the past. For users who always felt the Ultra was too sharp, edged, or uncomfortable for daily use, this shift could be a welcome change. But with thinner bodies come challenges. To keep the Ultra slim while still fitting advanced camera hardware, Samsung has had to redesign the thermal system and optimize the internal layout. This means heat dissipation could be much improved, a critical factor for gaming and heavy multitasking. If Samsung pulls this off, it won't just look premium, It will perform like a mini computer in your pocket. And let's not forget the competition. Apple's iPhone 17 series is rumored to bring bold new AI-powered features, while Google's Pixel 10 line focuses on computational photography and software smarts. The Galaxy S26 Ultra needs to stand tall against both, and Samsung's strategy seems clear: redefine what an Ultra phone means by offering not just specs but an all-in-one ecosystem. From DeX improvements for desktop-like productivity to tighter integration with Samsung's tablets, watches, and earbuds, the S26 Ultra could be the centerpiece of a smarter, more connected lifestyle. So, what's the bigger picture? The Galaxy S26 Ultra isn't just an annual refresh, it feels like Samsung is preparing for a turning point. Faster charging, revolutionary performance gains, bolder design language, AI-driven S Pen tools, and the possibility of ending long-standing criticisms around Exynos. But here's the question you need to ask yourself: is this the Ultra that defines Samsung's next era, or just the last hurrah before even bigger changes in the Galaxy S27? One thing is certain: the Galaxy S26 Ultra isn't playing it safe. It's ambitious, it's bold, and it's coming sooner than you think. And when it arrives, it might just force everyone, from Apple to Google, to rethink what it means to build a flagship phone.